And we'll start seated. So Happy New Year. Oops, my screen is a little off. We're going to get back into the standing postures today and Friday. So just take a moment to create a very stable, supported seated position. You can come into your less dominant cross-legged position. And spend a little time balancing the weight from left to right, adjusting your shoulders to align above the hips, attempting to move the shoulder blades toward the chest without throwing the abdomen too far forward. The skull right above the spine, the chin level with the floor, and just draw an energy line from your chin to the base of the skull. Relax your jaw. Try to tap into some weightedness in your thigh bones. And then keeping your shoulders in place, moving the hands together in front of the heart and closing the eyes. Gently looking toward your cheeks. Just become attuned to your inner body experience, sensations, breath, thought waves, emotions. Just becoming very granular with your attention. Sometimes when we set intention, if we get quiet enough, we just kind of have one show up. There can be a moment of clarity, just dropping into the present state. Maybe a word, a phrase, an image comes to mind. Reminding ourselves here that the entire asana practice is really in support of a quiet mind. See if you can maintain the lift and spread of your chest as you bow toward your heart. Let your hands release down. On an in-breath, lift your head, let your eyes gently open. Welcome. So we're going to stay seated for a little bit. You can come down off of, if you had a lot of height for your centering position, just reducing the height. You can change the crossing of the legs. We're going to come into a false clap to wake up the spine with flexion and extension. Just letting the arms extend out to each side. Try to place the wrists just slightly lower than the shoulder line. And on an inhale, let your wrists fall back, your shoulder blades move in, your sternum move forward, your gaze tracks up. And on an exhale, hollowing the belly, dropping the chin to the chest, almost letting the hands meet, not entirely coming together though. And then following the breath, inhale to open up. And exhale to contract the navel, to exhale fully, to open the back body. And just 4 more here with your breath really guiding you. Think about the entire length of the spine as you move. Be careful not to rush your breath. And as you look up, relax the eyes in their sockets. Make sure you're not rolling the eyes up in the head. And just 2 more. And last one. Finding your way back to seated. Sit up nice and tall. We'll drop the left hand next to the hip. Inhale, raise the right arm. And exhale, coming into sideways movement for the spine. So as you elongate the right side body, a couple of things, try to relax the shoulder, the long arm bone into the shoulder joint. Try to bring some weight back to your right sitting bone. Attempt to not collapse or completely shut down the left side body. So somehow creating or maintaining space there, even though it will be shorter than the right side body. And gently turning your chest toward the ceiling if that's available. If not, just keeping your gaze and your chest facing forward. And remember, the top of the head is the exit point for the line of energy along the spine. So every time you inhale, lengthen through the crown. So we're just inviting space, a couple more breaths. And the next time you breathe in, use that breath to help you up. And you're going to place the right hand down off the line of the hip, tenting up on the fingertips, maybe inhale, raise the left arm, exhale, extending to the right. Again, watch that shoulder, that it's not crowding your ear. Take the long arm bone down into the shoulder joint. Rebalance the weight of the sitting bones. Try to keep some sense of space to the right side body. Relax your eyebrows, your eyes. Maybe you can start to gently turn the chest toward the ceiling. Every time you breathe in, lengthen through the top of the head. Next time you inhale, you're going to lengthen up and out of it. And exhale, lower the hand down. Good. So seated spinal twist, raising both arms on the in-breath. And on the out-breath, exhale to the right. So left hand to the right thigh, right hand behind you. Bring the right hand really close to your body so you're not leaning back. Just observing in your mind's eye the twist climbing the spine. Eventually, maybe sensing the rib cage starting to turn, following the action of the spine. Maybe flipping to the back of the left hand to help you get a little bit more clearance of the armpit chest coming forward on the left side. And when you sense it's time, then turning the head to align the chin as well as you can above the right shoulder. So we have one twist going on. We're going to add a second twist in a moment. So keeping your twist really strong, like you have it, only move the head and now align your chin with your left shoulder. And see if you can still maintain that original twist. And now you're gently coaxing the secondary twist in the neck region. Eyes are soft. Couple more breaths. You're going to bring your chin back above your chest. On an inhale, raising the arms, coming back to center. And on the exhale, moving to the second side. So right hand to left thigh, left hand behind you. You can start with your palm down against the thigh. Sometimes we get injured in twist because we overdo it, usually in the lower back. We're just keeping a little bit of engagement with the lower abdominals, maybe hugging the hip bones toward each other. Maybe kind of imagining your abdominal muscles like particle board hugging toward the midline of the body. Maybe now turning the right hand to the back of the hand against the thigh to keep bringing the rib cage around, the side ribs, armpit area. Now probably turning the head, bringing the chin above the left shoulder. Soft eyes. Check in with your legs. Sometimes the legs get activated here because there's so much attention and energy in the upper body. Drop the legs, make them heavy. And now really try to keep this depth of twist that you've established, but you're going to turn the head, bringing your chin above the right shoulder now. Your eyes can be level with the horizon line. Now kind of gently paying attention to both twists, the original twist and now the second twist in the neck. Go ahead and float the chin back to center. Inhale, raise the arms, come back to center. Exhale, hands to your heart. When you pass your face, just close the eyes, leave your thumbs rubbing up on the breastbone, not dragging down. Keep your head right above your spine, watch your posture, drop the leg weight, unhinge your jaw, and just notice any effects here. Anything starting to percolate in the body as far as energy, breath, maybe a more awake feeling, anything you notice. There's no wrong information. There's no wrong feedback. Before we move on to a table pose, we're going to find our eagle arms just to bring a little more awakeness to the chest and the upper back. So you're going to take your arms out like you're holding a tray. Stack your left elbow over your right elbow. Option 1, which is a little more modified, to take your hands to your shoulders. Option 2 is to bring your right fingertips to your left palm, or maybe it's the base of the thumb. It's really whatever you can connect with that left hand. And from either position, float your elbows up. Try to broaden the upper back, but without collapsing your chest. So we're attempting to keep the chest broad and the upper back broad. Pull your head back over your spine if it pulled forward. Maybe close your eyes. Watch those legs. They're probably going to try to lift with the arms. Keep the legs resisting away from the arms. And every time you breathe in, there's that expansive horizontal opening across the upper chest and the upper back. Keep your gaze away from the ceiling. So if your eyes are closed, look toward your cheeks. If they're open, look straight ahead or down. On an exhale, you're going to lower your elbows toward your navel. And this just helps you open the back body a little more. So you're rounding your back, you're pulling your elbows toward your navel, keep the shoulders broad, tuck the chin into the chest, and just a couple more breaths. Inhale, sit back up. You can spread the arms open and take the wrist back without pushing your belly forward. Just take the wrist slightly farther back than the shoulder line and turn the thumbs down and just kind of create a little bit more openness in the arms, winding the arms in both directions. And then you can go back to holding that imaginary tray. This time, right elbow comes above left. Option 1 is to grab the shoulders. And option 2 is to take left fingertips to the right hand somewhere, making a connection. Starting to lift the elbows, broaden the upper back, broaden the chest. Don't let the sternum collapse or recede. Keep your head right above your spine. Keep your legs heavy. Every time you breathe in, there's an expansiveness, an opportunity. Soft eyes, soft jaw. Next time you exhale, we're going to drop into that forward bend. So pull the elbows toward the navel. You're rounding your back. You're bringing the torso closer to the floor. Keep the shoulders broad. Don't let them round or curl up. Keep them broad. Chin tucks in, navel pulls towards spine. The back body is really feeling spacious and like there's some sensation back there. We're opening the back body. One single curve along the spine from your brainstem all the way down to the tailbone. One more exhale here. And then inhale, sitting back upright with the torso. Unwrap the arms. Just imagine you have little sprinklers coming out of your fingertips. You can play with the direction of the arms, moving this way and that. Just kind of relieving anything left over from the Garudasana arms, eagle arms. And then when you're ready, you can gently make your way to table pose. We've gone through the 6 actions of the spine, so now we're going to make them a little more fluid. We're going to start with the barrel rolls. So we're going to start by shifting both hips to the right. And then you're going to arch your back, so you're doing the cow tilt through center. And then you're going to float both hips to the left. And then you're coming into cat tilt through center. So this is the one where you're imagining you're inside of a jar that's turned sideways. And you're scraping it out with your hips. So the emphasis on smoothness. So nobody cares how many repetitions you do. Nobody cares how fast it is or how big it is. So just smooth. You're going to notice the elbows as they transition. One arm is straight, one arm is bent. Everything becomes very fluid. And for now, you're moving in one direction. So just sticking with that. If you can include the neck extending and flexing with the cat-cow shape. Otherwise, don't worry about your head. And now you're going to find a place to softly just land and switch direction. So pushing the hips in the other direction, rolling through center. You might notice your breath naturally aligns here with the movement as you're hollowing the belly. It's a great time for the out breath. As the belly is full in that cow tilt, it's a great time to breathe in. And just one more big rotation. And you're going to find your way back to center. And if your knees walked away from you, bring them back in line with your hips. Your wrists are uncomfortable, step your hands forward. You can turn your fingers out 45 degrees. You can be on your knuckles if you need to. We're going to come into sunbird. So on a big in breath, exhale, squeeze your right knee to your forehead or nose. Inhale, stretch the leg back, look forward. From the extended leg, exhale, pull the knee to the forehead or nose. Empty all the breath. Inhale, reach it back. Flex the foot, toes down. One more time here, hug it in, closing the gap as well as you can. And inhale, reach it back. Toes point down, leg is level with the floor, meaning your heel's in line with your hips. With your hip. Your hip should be in line as well. So lifting that left hip side, dropping down the outer right hip side, leveling the hips, engage your abdominals. Float the left arm forward, off the floor, level with the floor. Rotate the left palm up and pull that long arm bone into the shoulders, shoot the chest forward, reach back through the right heel. Breathe. Stoking the inner fire. Good, burning through the impurities. That's tapas, the word in yoga we use for that action, burning through the impurities in the body. Okay, last big breath. You're going to place the hand, place the knee, step your knees apart, feet together, sit back for child's pose, and give your forehead some sort of support. So it might be with your hands, a prop, the floor, whatever you decide. But make sure the forehead comes down and it's placed in such a way that the back of the neck is long. It's not creased. And second side, come back to hands and knees table. Make sure the knees come back hip width, the feet swing back out as wide as the knees. Big in breath. Exhale, squeezing left knee to forehead or nose. Inhale, stretch the leg back, look forward. Exhale, close the gap, hug it in again. Inhale, stretch it back. Once more, squeeze it in. Send it back, and then align your hips, engage your stomach muscles, flex the foot, left toes point down, right arm reaches forward, rotate the right palm to face the ceiling, move the shoulder back, move the chest forward. Give yourself some good breath here. Not the sitting on the couch breath is needed. We need a higher octane breath here. So it's like we're holding a fist. It's a squeezing fist. In a moment in child's pose, we're going to let it go. But take a few more breaths holding this right effort. And then place your hand, place your knee, step the knees wide, feet together, sit back for child's pose, couple deep breaths, just let it all go. Releasing that fist. We're going to come into downward facing dog. So find your way back to hands and knees. Make sure your middle fingers are the forward pointing finger. Curl the toes underneath. Even your small toes need some attention. Don't let them just dangle there. Give them some direction toward the top of the mat. And notice where your hips are right now in space. And as you extend the legs, attempt to keep your hips back. Don't let the hips pull forward. So pressurize your hands. Begin to really pressurize your toes. Start to extend the legs. And then leave your legs a little bit more quiet for now. So heels are lifted, knees might be bent. Really draw the hips away from the wrists, resisting gravity. Keep the sides of the torso long. Take the shoulder blades toward the chest. Tilt the whole pelvic bowl forward. Roll the sitting bones toward the ceiling away from the backs of your knees. Roll the inner knees back. And then see about extending the heels toward the floor without losing any of the previous actions. So if your hips come down with the heels, it's better to leave your heels high. Resist the hips away from the heels away from the hips. 3 more breaths. And now instead of walking the feet, you're going to walk the hands. Start to move your hands toward your feet. If you need to bring your hands onto your shins or your thighs, you're going to do that. Otherwise, the hands stay on the floor for Ardha Uttanasana. So you can use blocks as well if you prefer. But in a pinch, when we don't have props, you can always take your hands to your own legs. Look forward. Okay, try to balance the weight over the feet and try to relax your feet. The feet signal the whole body with the way they are. So if they're tensing and contracted and small, the rest of the body will do the same thing. So relax the feet, broaden the feet, balance the feet, keep looking forward, keep your legs as straight as you can, even if they're still bent. You lengthen the torso as well as you can in this half position. And then on an exhale, you're going to lengthen your chest toward your thighs, and you're going to grab the backs of your legs somewhere. It might be closer to the heels, might be higher up the legs. But try to float the elbows wide. The wide elbows, which allows your chest to stay broad. Legs remain straight as they can be, even if they're still bent. And your feet remain balanced. Your head dangles. After an exhalation, you're going to look forward and you're going to move your feet together. And for a lot of us, the big toes come together, the heels are slightly apart because we all have different shapes to our feet. We're trying to align the second toes with the heels. So do what you need to do to make that happen. We're going to come up through Utkatasana, chair pose. So once you've brought the feet together, bend your knees. Attempt to bring your thighs more level with the floor. Contract your pelvic floor. Take your hands to your heart center first. Attempt to become more upright in your torso. Look forward and then take the arms up. And you might do better with a goalpost position with your arms. Keep your navel pulled in, your tailbone curling forward into the front body. Don't throw your head forward. Keep your eyes soft. Keep that pelvic floor contracted. 4 more breaths. You can take the next inhale up like an elevator, all the way up. Release the arms, and you're going to step into mountain pose. You can join your feet if that's available to you, otherwise keep your feet hip distance. Shoulders above the hips. If our shoulders are above the hips, the thumbs are right alongside the hips. They're not forward of the thighs or the hips. Skull is above the spine. Feet are balanced, feet are soft. Feet are broad. Close the eyes, drop the shoulders, and create that outer body compactness. So absorbing the front thighs with the backs of the thighs. Take the midline of the buttocks forward toward the front body. Take the thigh bones back, the shin bones back. Keep dropping the shoulders. Imagine someone standing behind you and just gently pressing down on your shoulders. And if you're in alignment, this only reinforces the effect of the pose. Pressure on the shoulders. The spine resists away from it. It keeps shooting up toward the ceiling. So if you read the weekly emails, this week is all about full body awareness. And if there's a part of the body in a pose that's kind of grabbing your attention or hogging your attention, it's usually a sign that something's off. But when we have the pose just right, we kind of have our whole awareness fill the body. It doesn't linger or pool in one area. So you can kind of use that as a tool in your standing poses today. If there's a part of the body that's really grabbing your attention in your poses, something might need more attention. So let's open the eyes, just kind of shake free. We're going to come into tree pose just to harness our concentration a little bit more. So we'll be starting with the right foot taking the shape of the bent knee, the right leg, I should say. So you're just going to rest on the ball mounds of the right foot. And before you go into position, just immediately suck the left hip bone toward midline. So bringing the left inner thigh to continue the line of the spine. So if you have a post, ground it into the floor. Then you're going to find your external right hip rotation by turning the knee out to the side. Once you do that, you might have swiveled your hips, which we do not want to do. So take your hands to your hips. Just imagine you have your hips against a plane of glass. So you want to have that right hip as close to that plane of glass as the left hip. So one way you can do this is roll the right buttock kind of under toward the front body. Keep directing your knee not only to the side, but pressing it back. And you can move your hands to your hips. You might be able to bring your hands to your heart center. Remember not to drag down on the breastbone. If anything, scrub up. If you're able to maintain what you have already, you can step up the leg, maybe alongside the calf muscle or the upper inner thigh. Keep your awareness on the hip points and that rotation that likes to happen. We're trying to resist that. Keep rolling the right buttock forward. Your gaze is on the horizon line. We have this one little foot on the floor. Make sure it's not clinging and shrinking. So try to relax, soften, broaden, and balance the foot. Maybe the arms go up. Only you know if that's available to you, if it's going to keep your pose in integrity. But if the arms go up, the eyeballs do not roll up, the chin does not lift, the gaze stays steady and forward. Have as much effort with your leg moving into your foot as you have with your foot moving into your leg. And then you're going to reverse the steps with as much attention as you came into them with. And then step down, release your arms, and shake out your left leg. So a couple options for side two. You can turn away from the camera. Some people find that helpful. You can use a wall behind you. You can use a chair in front of you to stabilize with one hand. If you're spending, this is another attention exercise, if you're spending a majority of the pose thinking about staying balanced and not toppling, the pose is off. So you need to neutralize that, giving yourself more support. Okay, so we're going to ground the right foot. We're going to step up with the heel against the inner thigh, the inner shin or ankle area. Hands to the hips, just kind of reminding your hips that they're staying even. Start to work the knee, not only sideways, but gently back. Roll the left buttock under and toward the front body. Pay attention to your grounded foot. Maybe step up the leg. Maybe move the hands to the heart center. Pick your gaze. Keep pulling right hip bone toward midline, right inner thigh to continue the spine. Maybe the arms float up. Beautiful. You guys look like the camera froze, so that's very steady. You're going to start to move out of the pose with as much awareness as you came into it with. Step down and shake out your limbs. Nice work. So we're going to come into some other standing poses, and I want to give you the option to use a chair if you would like a little more spaciousness, stability, and freedom in the pose. If you want to be a little more challenged, you're going to use blocks. So for the right side, you're going to place the chair or the block to the right side of the mat. We're going to start with triangle pose. And we're going to be coming in with a little bit of a modification before we come into the full pose, just so we can really get a nice feeling of spaciousness across the chest, keeping the skull back, keeping our shoulders back. So start from the center of the mat, chair or block over to the right. You can jump or step out, your choice. Try to create an equilateral triangle between your legs and the floor. You take your hands to your hips. You're going to turn the right toes out. Remember to move from the root of the thigh. That's where the action starts from. And then toeing in with the left toes. Some people prefer to heel out rather than to toe in. So it's your option. You can always choose which works better in your body. So what we're going to do to create this sense of, it gives the pose a lot of equalization. It gives the chest more openness. Like I said, you're going to clasp your hands, go to your dominant interlock, roll the shoulders back, fully extend your elbows, like you have something very heavy in your hands. And as you shift your torso to the right, your skull to the right, let your hands be kind of the anchor point for that. So extend the crown away from the palms of your hands, plural. Roll your right buttock under like you did for tree pose. Keep rotating the right inner thigh forward, the right outer thigh back, so that your knee doesn't track inwardly. And even though your skull wants to pitch forward, your torso wants to pitch forward, use your hands to steer the torso and skull slightly back. So this is a great way to set up the pose. Once you have all this, then feel free to take your hand to your chair or your block, and hopefully you can maintain the torso sitting back, the chest staying open, the skull staying back, those alignment points we kind of tapped into with that modified position. We're going to stay a total of 30 seconds here. So keep rolling that right buttock forward, the left hip pressed back. Keep your skull moving back even though it wants to start to pitch forward. Gently insert the right shoulder blade toward the chest. Don't let your crown dangle. Good. Keep reaching your right toes toward the end of the mat. And then the next time you inhale, you're going to use it to help you up. Inhale, lifting and lengthening, coming up and out of it, turning your toes to point forward. And you can jump or step your feet together. And just come into mountain pose. Your body kind of starts to find its way back in. Once you've done mountain pose a few times throughout a practice, drop into whatever the breath is doing. Try not to regulate or control the breath. Just allow the breath to flow. Check in with the feet. And notice where your attention moves to in your body. If it's kind of throughout, that's a good sign. If it's getting stuck in a certain area, do a little investigative work. Maybe tweak something, change something, try something out. See if you can allow your attention to be more full throughout the body. And then from here, let your eyes open. We'll try left side, same thing. So block or chair to the left. Using the chair, you can use the seat of the chair, or you can use even the higher part of the chair if you really need a lot of support. Okay, remember the hardest part of the body to adjust in a pose is the brain. So if you have hang-ups or issues about props, you got to get over it. You got to use the props when you need them. So we're going to jumper step out. Okay, hands to the hips for now. We're going to pivot from the root of the thigh, initiating the toes turning out, toe in or heel out with the right. Make sure you have the intersection of the heel to the arch, from left foot to right arch. If your hips rotated with the legs, correct that. Remember the plane of glass, your hips should be facing the long edge of the mat. Alternate interlock with your hands. So the other pinky is loose. It's the one that feels awkward unless you're ambidextrous. Roll your shoulders back, extend your arms fully, something heavy in your hands. Inhale here, and on your exhale, as you extend torso and skull to the left, let your hands be an anchor point for that effort. Guide your trunk, guide your skull slightly farther back to the wall behind you than it wants to be. Keep rolling your left inner thigh up, your left outer thigh down. Extend your left toes toward the end of the mat. Keep the skirting of the outer right foot engaged down. Restore the little hollow dome. That's going to be an energy lift for you. And then when you feel like you have good stuff going on, you're going to take support with the left hand on the chair seat or the block. Right arm comes up, stacks above. You're going to roll the left buttock forward, the right hip crest back. Try to connect the dots of the tailbone all the way to the top of your head, the crest of your head. Another 4 or 5 breaths here. Notice where your attention is lingering or pooling, and hopefully you feel more of a global awareness. But if you find that your attention is pooling somewhere, check in with it. And then you're going to use an in-breath. Engage your feet down, lift through the crown of the head as well. Come up. Pivot your feet, toes forward. And jumper step together. And you're back in Tadasana. Dropping into the pose a little more spontaneously now. So as the buttocks move toward the front body, make sure they're soft. You're not clamping the buttocks. Same idea with the front thighs being absorbed by the back thighs. You're not contracting the thighs to do that. Skull stays right above the spine. Energy line from the chin to the base of the skull. Your shoulders, imagine you're hanging from a hanger. Your shoulders are relaxed. Okay. And open the eyes. Okay. So similarly, we're going to do Warrior 2 with the same clasp because it's a really good imprint for the chest and shoulders. You don't need your box for this or chair. You don't need your hand support for Warrior 2. And we'll be jumping or stepping out. So your choice. If you're stepping, just kind of watch your stepping foot. If we're doing the right side, you can step with the right foot first. And if we're doing the left side, you can step with the left foot first. And exhale, create the space. Take your hands to your hips, and again, setting up just like you did for triangle. So pivoting the right toes out, left toes in. Making sure the hips stay even. You're gonna rotate that right inner thigh up, right outer thigh down. So the knee is tracking with the toes. Go to your preferred interlock first. Roll the shoulders back. Extend your arms so there's no bend in the elbows. Make sure you're not hyperextending the lumbar, that you're keeping your navel attached to your spine. You're going to keep your torso upright. Inhale, exhale the right knee above the right ankle. You may need to grow the space between the feet. So if that right knee goes beyond the toes, that's a clue. You need a little more space between your feet. So take some time with the hands clasping to keep the shoulders back, the skull above the spine, chest lifted and spread, and then see about extending the arms without losing that and turning the gaze over the right fingertips. Okay, try to sense the interior body. Notice if there's any hang-ups, any areas that are just grabbing your attention more than others, and see about those. Even though you're looking away from your left fingertips, can you find some awareness in those left fingertips? Can you rotate your torso from right to left to keep the hip points even? Can you magnetize your right knee toward the small toe? Roll that buttock under on the right side. Good. Push into the floor to straighten the leg. Turn your toes forward. You might need to close the gap to step the feet together, jump the feet together. And you're coming back to mountain pose. Okay, so just think about fist, release the fist, release the fist. So just let this Tadasana, even though there's effort involved, be a moment of releasing the fist of the previous pose. Let the energy kind of flush throughout the body. Let the breath find its way back to regulated state if it became a little bit ragged, which sometimes it does. Notice if your body finds its way back into those alignment points. Drop the shoulders. It's like a standing Shavasana. Second side, you can blink the eyes open. You're going to jump or step out. Left foot if you're stepping. Hands to the hips. Move from the root of the left thigh, toes out. Toe in or heel out with the right. Correct that hip rotation that always kind of happens here. So you're going to roll that left buttock forward. Peel that right hip back. Good. Alternate clasp with your hands. Other pinky is loose. Extend the elbows, shoulders above the hips, skull above the spine. Big inhale. Exhale, left knee over the ankle. Keep the torso upright. Wiggle some room between the feet if you need to open it up. Magnetize your left knee toward the small toe as you roll your left buttock forward. It's easier to do that if your buttock is soft. And then see if you can keep this without disturbing much. Extend the arms and turn the gaze. Let your attention oscillate throughout the entire body. Give your eyes roots to the back of the head. Soften the feet. Remember, everything starts with that connection. Sense if your hips are level. Good. Drop a little deeper into your hips. Last 3 breaths. Grab the floor with the outer right foot. Last 2 breaths. Go ahead and push into that left foot to straighten. Pivot the toes forward. Maybe close the gap a little. Jump or step back in. And take Tadasana. Just observe. Once we let go of that fist, there's more observation, less action. Resting in the awareness that the posture created. . Okay, I'm going to do a little editing. We'll save the second half of this class for Friday. But we're going to do warrior one now, which of course is letting our hips fully move to the side. We're going to do the same clasping preparation. And again, you shouldn't need any props. If you need to stabilize, you might want to have a chair handy, so you could put one hand down perhaps. Otherwise, shouldn't need anything. So feel free to jump or step out. Hands to your hips, rotating the left toes out from the root of the thigh. Of course, you're going to pivot in with the, did I say that backwards? So the right foot toed out, left toes toe in, and you're going to square your hips to face the right end of the mat. Okay, so first thing we want to do is extend both legs. A lot of times the back leg gets forgotten. Really extend the back leg without hyperextending the knee. We're going to clasp the hands, your preferred interlock of your hands right into the webbing. Extend the arms, shoulders sit back. Make sure you didn't throw the abdomen forward and hyperextend the low back. So correct that if you did. Tailbone moves in, skull above the spine. Big inhale, exhale the right knee above the ankle. And then again, without disturbing what you've already established, see if you can take the arms overhead, maintaining the shoulders sitting back, maintaining the spread of the chest, the wise actions of the skull aligning with the spine. Soften your gaze. Keep the feet relaxed. Be aware of the entire body all at once. Notice where your attention tends to pool. Check in with that. Shoulder blades inserting toward the chest, giving the chest some support, some scaffolding. Inhale, straightening your leg. You're going to pivot to a wide stance on your mat. And then jump or step the feet together. Tadasana. Close the eyes. Drop the shoulders. Letting the fist go. Seeing what remains. Every pose has an energetic signature. The warrior poses tend to embolden us and empower us. So second side, blink the eyes open. Find your way to your wide stance. Turn the left toes out, step the right toes almost to match the left, but you're going to keep the toes slightly turned toward the edge of the mat. Your feet are spaced wide enough to allow the hips to square. Alternate interlock of your hands. Shoulders roll back, arms fully extend, something heavy in your hands. Resist your sternum away from the palms of your hands. Both legs are straight, tailbone moves into the body. Big in-breath. Exhale the left knee above the ankle without pitching the torso forward. And then attempt to take the arms up without losing the position of your shoulders. Hopefully the arms are behind the ears. Soft gaze, descending temples, relaxed jaw. Full body awareness. Roll the inner right thigh back, the outer right thigh forward. Go a little deeper into the hips, last 3 breaths. On an inhale, pushing into that left foot, straighten the leg, pivot yourself wide, arms open. And jump or step the feet together. So last time in mountain pose. Turning the dial down to a simmer. Minimizing the effort it takes to be here in alignment. Noticing those little compensatory actions in the body to keep you standing. Body's intelligence at work. Open the eyes and finish with Prasarita Padottanasana. So we want to have support now. We want to really wind down. Block or chair can be for the hands. The chair can be for the hands. It could also be for the head. It's really your choice. We're going to step the feet wide just to start to signal the nervous system that we're winding down. And then you're going to take the toes forward. All 10 toes look forward. Second toes align with heels. Outer feet grab the floor. Inner arches lift. The outer ankles that want to shoot out, try to suck them toward midline. And then rotate your inner thighs forward, your outer thighs back to keep your knees tracking with your toes. Okay, take hold of your hips, clamp the elbows, give a little pressure with your thumbs to the tailbone, lift your chest. Inhale here, and then exhale, tilt the pelvis forward. And you're going to rest your head or just your hands on your blocks or chair, taking a very quieting forward bend. So supported and quieting. This isn't your most intense Prasarita Padottanasana. This is a quieting, low effort version of it. Which doesn't mean you're complacent. So go to your edge, but make sure you're not overexerting. Feet are balanced. Torso is cascading down, the head is heavy. You're going to start to lift your head. Start to move the feet closer together. Finding your way up. So before we come into Shavasana, we're going to take, you probably noticed my current favorite pose, Urdhva Mukha Paschimottanasana. Partially because it's a safe and good one that we can do at home. A lot of the other inversions I don't really love teaching on Zoom or online. So you're going to sit on something soft, whether it's a bolster you have at home or a couple rolled blankets. And once you have that, you can just start to lie down so that the soft prop is running with your sacrum, your hips are up. And then reach your arms overhead so that your palms face up toward the ceiling. Your fingernails extend toward whatever wall they're reaching toward. Your arms are straight. And then draw your legs in one at a time. And just let gravity drop the thighs toward the chest. Let your chin close in toward your chest. And then begin to extend your legs. You might not come into a fully straightened leg, but do your best to come to your own personal edge with your legs. Roll your inner knees toward the ceiling. Every time you exhale, the thighs, they just drop in a little closer. Keep your chin snuggled down toward your chest. Keep your eyes pointed toward your cheeks. Keep extending out through the fingernails. Just 5 more breaths. Notice how the pose helps you really clear the exhale. When you finish off your next exhale, start to bend your knees. Let your feet come down to the floor one at a time. Let your arms sweep down by your sides, palms up. And just holding supported bridge pose for a few moments, quieting the back. When you're ready, if you want to transition to Shavasana, you can lift your hips and just push your bolster under your knees. You can let your knees widen and your feet kind of come toward each other. This can be really soothing for the back. You're going to keep your arms extended enough away from your torso that they don't touch the sides. The palms face the ceiling. You might need some head support. Make sure your chin is not higher than your forehead. And we're looking for that same full body awareness in Shavasana. So if something is grabbing your attention, hogging your attention, you might need to address that before you can settle into the pose. So full body surrender, we're letting go of the fist completely now. Flushing the body with the prana. Receiving the breath. We address the physical tension we carry. We can find our way back to a truer version of ourselves. Recognize how much the tension in the body can drive the thoughts, drive the emotions, drive the energy, drive the breath. Observe the body breathing on its own. One definition of relaxing is being able to observe your tensions. What still remains contracted, resistant, gripping, activated, energy turned inward. Use your in-breath to just become more expanded, like a sponge in a bowl of water. Soften your face. Let your tongue soften as if it's taking up a little more room inside of your mouth. Your lips soften to the point where you feel like you're almost smiling. attention to the area between the eyebrows, smoothing it out. Taking that surrender deep into the center of the head. Start to draw some deeper breaths in. Track your out breaths a little farther out. Begin to find small movements coming in through the body, the fingers, toes, head, neck, wrists, ankles. Like you're thawing out slowly. Reanimating the body, but keeping this heightened awareness. Start to bend your elbows, bring your hands onto your belly or chest. Bend your knees one at a time, sliding the soles of the feet onto the floor. And you're going to gently ease over to your right side, imagining your heart falling toward the center of the chest. And take your hands against the floor, and by pressing down, you're going to bring yourself up. And when you find yourself seated, take some time to arrange your body so your spine is erect, it's energized, it's supporting kind of a brightness in the brain. And then joining your hands together in front of your heart, just like you started. Just noticing, trying to drop into presence or stay in presence. From the place within me that I know to be divine, I honor that place within each of you. Namaste. All right. All right, well, I hope to see you guys Wednesday or Friday. We have another month of online, and then I'm moving to completely in-person and private. So reach out if we haven't connected about that, and I'll see you guys soon.